First things first, you have to understand is feeling a muscle or muscle soreness does not correlate with growth. So that's the first thing. Second thing is individual muscle size. So an easy example would be like your rear delt or your lateral deltoid compared to the size of your quadricep. These are two extremely different sized muscle groups. The next thing to consider is the actual intensity you're applying in the workout. The next thing to consider is your genetics. So I say this all the time, and I am kind of joking when I say it, but I'm also serious. You know, did you pick the right parents? Do you have good parents for actual muscle building genetics? I'm serious. It's one of the things people don't want to think about or consider. But you can even have good genetics in response to being a high responder to anabolic compounds, for example. I mean, there's just a lot of things. So anyway, so that's another one. And then we have the actual morphology of the individual, like the actual individual. So when I use the term morphology, I'm referring to the fact that it's kind of separate from genetics, but everyone has individually different sized bone. So like everybody has, you know, males have a certain kind of pelvis and females have a certain kind of pelvis, etc. But we also have different shaped, like your leg bone. If you're a 6'2" guy and I'm a 6'2" guy, your femur might be a different size than my femur genetically. You might have a longer spinal column and shorter legs. I might have longer legs and a shorter spinal column. These come into play a lot with your actual muscle groups. Another thing to consider is, of course, steroids or enhancements. What are you taking on top of what you're already doing? Because this is actually a huge factor when it comes to muscle size and recovery. The next one would be varying your training. This is actually kind of talk a little bit about feeling the muscle and muscle soreness. We'll get into it again, but I'm going to keep them separate. So when it comes to varying your training, what I mean is just by using a different bicep exercise or changing your weight selection, you will be sore the next day, as opposed to if you had been doing exactly the same bicep curl exactly the same way for a month. And even though you were getting stronger, you're not feeling sorer, but it's just because your body is getting habitualized to that movement, essentially. Now, these are, I mean, there's a lot more things to get into, but those are just some of them.